Hey girl, let me buy you a game. 2 copies of Destiny 2 coming at you guys. I want to show my appreciation, my thanks for those that have stuck around through my ups and downs, the good and the not so good, and the even worse than that, and tell you guys that I thank you for what you've done. So the next 2 videos that I put out are going to be basically Destiny 2 speculation videos. I feel like Destiny is going to change in one of 2 major ways. If we're lucky, both. But I feel like I got this down, okay? So that's what this video is going to be about, part number 1, and I'm going to be giving a copy away. All you got to do to enter, all you got to do is leave a comment down below, let me know what platform you are, and of course be an active subscriber. You got to be subscribed to the channel, and be sure to hit that little bell next to it when you do. And that's it. A token of thanks from me to you guys for all that you've done for me. So thank you guys. And let's just get out of the soppy stage, right? Muscle up, punch a puppy. So, serious talk. I want you to do me a favor and close your eyes, right? You trust me. Close your eyes. Just listen to the sound of my voice. Listen. So imagine for a second, you've got a controller in your hand. You're playing Destiny. You just finished a Crucible match and your 3 of coins activated and exotic. You've probably pictured maybe a helmet, something like that. What do you do next? Do you head to the tower? You do. Cryptarch? I bet you do. Now what? You identify it. Oh hey, I've already got one of those. What's next? Shard life. This game, the highest and rarest loot that you can find, is identical to every other. Legendaries, very, very minuscule differences across the board. Truth is, you've got a looter shooter without any proper loot in play. There's not a real loot system in Destiny, and that's what I think they're going to change going into Destiny 2. One of the 2 ways they can do it, because this will not only impact PvP, but drastically change the course of PvE. And this is what's going to happen. They just need to adopt the basic RPG foundation. Everything that you're used to seeing from games like The Division, Diablo, Borderlands, insert other RPG game that you've played before right here, and profit. That's it. That's simply all they need to do. It's not like they've got to do anything creative or innovate. This is the platform. This is the foundation, and they just need to bring it in. And the weird part, if you think about it, Destiny's not that much different than a game like Diablo. These RPGs are pretty much the same across the board. Think about it. So you have your tanks, right? Your brawlers, Titan. What about your rogues, your assassins? Hunter, anybody? Okay, well, hang on. Warlock. Do I need 2 words, guys? Space magic. Always have to have those mages or wizards, right? So, yeah. Let's not stop there. Strength, dexterity, intelligence. Those ring a bell? Sound familiar at all? Generally the main stat attribute for one of those characters. So if you just plug and apply those, I feel like they're going to reformat the way those work. They're not just going to help you cool down. They're going to fit to a certain type of character. The Titan's main stat will obviously be strength, discipline for the hunters, intellect for the warlocks. Sounds about right to me. The most important change that this ushers in to the Destiny franchise is that this endgame is going to expand exponentially. There's never going to be god rolls. There's always going to be room for improvement, and because of this, they're going to have to rival this sort of change by enhancing the ways that we get loot and the amount of loot that we get as well. So they're going to circulate more and more legendaries and exotics into the system. So basically, this is going to effectively remove the need for resets. If there's more loot coming in with a lot of different stat variables, you no longer have to lock raids behind weeks. You can play them over and over and over again. This will also breathe life into the Strike playlist. I know, it's a little boring, a little repetitive, but so are Rifts in Diablo, but they're still played because the rewards are worth it. So imagine in your mind, you hop onto Destiny, play for 3 or 4 hours, and get 50 legendaries. That's just mind-blowing, right? So just kind of take out the blues. You know, like how often you get blues, what, 3 or 4 blues in a Strike playlist? Imagine they're legendaries all of a sudden, and the occasional legendary is now an exotic. And that's pretty much how loot would change going forward. It's going to feel more rewarding because you're seeing more of them. And of course, with the stat variables, a lot of them are going to be bust. They're going to be terrible. But when that one good roll comes along, oh, yeah, I'm stiff. Let's go. It's going to be great. And that's why Diablo, as repetitive and even bland as it can be, is still rewarding and why people can still grind at that. So it will add to the end game. There will no longer be gear ceilings. Oh, his Hawk Moon's like my Hawk Moon. Let's have a Hawk Moon party. They bring in a traditional RPG loot system. We're no longer going to have duplicates. Maybe similar items, but no. There's going to be areas where some of my gear is better than your gear and some of your gear is better than my gear. Those that invest the time are going to get fatter loot. It's just going to happen. So, Here's a little bit of a visual aid for those that do not know how a traditional RPG loot system works. This right here is a still image from The Division, the recalibration station. I'm a rapper, yo, I didn't know that right. So, the way this looks, if you focus on the center of your screen, you'll see the select bonus. The operator mask, it's a high-end item. It's got armor 416. Now that stat alone can fluctuate between maybe 400 on the low end and 550 on the high end. You can see that it's got a talent built into it, very similar to what we see from our Destiny items with Grenadier, Snapshot, so on and so forth. It's like a passive ability built into it. Now, it's tenacious, but it could have been one of 10 other items. Now, you'll also notice that its primary stat is firearms. Maybe in Destiny 2, like I've mentioned with strength, so on and so forth, that can happen. Or it could adopt a similar one to this, where you basically have your strength item, then you have stamina as a potential role, and maybe what is skill power in this game would work more towards super regeneration in this one. Then, if you look at the stats down below, it's got 551 firearms. Now, if this was a strength stat, for example, inside of the Destiny 2 game, this could be a wide window as well. It could be between 500 strength and 650 strength. That's 150 potential points. So obviously, if you had a really good roll with the right passive talent that you wanted on your gun, and the firearms was right at the bottom, that's not really good, right? That's going to be disappointing, but like I said, that leaves room for improvement. That's where that grind comes in, the need and excitement. When you get a legendary of that same kind, you're like, well, shit, I've got bad, strength on this one. Maybe this one will roll better with the talent that I want. And that's how you keep aiming higher, and this is what's going to produce health for the Destiny experience. Then you can see that he's got a bunch of other abilities. Scavenging, which is basically loot find. That would be something that you would expect to be incorporated into the game. More loot means more legendaries and it's healthy. Then he's got boost to Seeker Mind, skill power, and if you look at the right side, possible recalibrations, because it is the recalibration station, y'all, you could see some of the other potential things that could have rolled on it. So instead of 20 scavenging, it could have easily been health on kill, which is basically lifesteal. It could have been damage to elites, which would have been like the named bosses. This is really important. Now you're asking yourself, if all of these things come in, and they're going to add burns and damage to elites and all of these things, that doesn't really apply to PvP. And this is where I think they need to draw the line. PvP could effectively stay the way as it is right now, and only the things like your talents, your passive abilities, your Grenadiers translate into the game, but all your stats, like your strength, don't impact anything in PvP. Which actually works in the current system they have, because everything is plugged into an archetype. You have the high rate of fire, low damage, then you have the high damage, low rate of fire, and then the one right in the middle. And as long as they keep those, it's not really going to change in PvP, but maybe that's what they do with Iron Banner. They allow these reload speeds and your crit hit chance and all of these things to apply. It would change and make Iron Banner different, because as it currently stands, Iron Banner is cool when it comes around, but it's really no different. You're basically just playing long periods of time on a game type that's already currently accessible. It's not that different. The light system is not that functional. This would make Iron Banner really hype when it does come around, if those things and those stats did apply, but it's always a dangerous thing, and keeping in the back of your mind, we still don't have cycling maps for trials, and even stickier subject, fusion grenades. Yeah, I went there. Come on now. If we couldn't trust and rely on them to balance something like that, how are they going to manage these sorts of variables in a PvP setting so that it's balanced? I don't have a lot of faith in them to do that, which means keeping the traditional PvP system, just taking the base stats of the archetypes and using those in PvP may be the safest way. And that's what a lot of the community has asked for. They want a separation, a distance between PvE and PvP. And you've seen in the Division, it's one of the biggest and most crippling things from the Division is it's so hard to balance everything for both activities. The moment you nerf something in one area, you may ruin it for PvE, and vice versa. And this is a big problem. So if they actually just take and keep what they have with PvP, it really wouldn't impact PvE too much. But those stats in PvE would apply, so it would make grinding some of the higher difficulties worth it, and obviously farm higher quality loot, better loot drops, better loot chances, the higher the difficulty, so many things. And like I said, we've seen this. This is damn near mandatory in RPGs, and the fact that this is considered a looter shooter, a shared world shooter, the fact that this wasn't in at the base game is a little disappointing, because like I said, we all got stuck with similar loot. Everybody uses the same damn gun that we pretty much bought from a vendor, right? Palindrome, hello. That's basically the world we live in, and that's because there's just not enough loot out there with enough variables and enough stats and enough differences. Everybody wants to feel different. They want to feel better when they get a good roll. None of that currently exists inside of the Destiny universe, but going forward, this is probably the most influential way they can make things better. And as a final parting thought, maybe you guys could dig into this and come up with some creative ideas yourselves, a lot of these games, like The Division, Diablo, they also have set gear as well, like a stage above exotic, if you will, where they have additional bonuses. So 2 pieces of a certain set would grant you 20% reload speed. This kind of thing could actually be applied to PvP. A 3rd piece, maybe like you get the torso as well, would add another bonus, and you'd still keep the 2-piece bonus. And then the 4th piece, maybe a complete set, would give you some really, really strong bonus overall. And with the lore and the system and story they have in play, having like named Aphrodite sets would be super freaking cool. That would apply towards snipers, or insert whatever here. One could be good for PvE, one could be good for sniping, one could be good for shotguns. You know, a loot find system. There's so many ways they can grow. But if they do adopt the system, I expect this to be thrown into the mix as well. But hey, that's my video, guys. Hope you liked it. You made it this far, so you obviously did. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, the thumbs up. I love you. Thank you, guys. And stay tuned for the other video coming out in the next few days, where I talk about the likelihood of ranked and competitive Destiny.
Double down, charging the spark.